There is a continuing problem affecting all childcare providers, and I am here today to talk about what it is and how we can work to overcome it. Hey guys, Sarah here from Work Life Glue, back for another Daycare Day video where every Friday I talk about something daycare related. I am a childcare provider for going on 3 years now. I'm a teacher turned nanny turned childcare provider and a mom of two little girls. And on our channel we just talk about how we glue work and life together one piece at a time. We talk about organizing, we talk about finances, time management, self-improvement, and then I also do talk about daycare because that is my job and it's work part of the Work Life Glue, and my husband's involved a lot as well. And so I like to share. There's not a lot of people on YouTube talking about childcare, and since it is something where people are pretty isolated on their own, I just thought it would be really cool to create a community here to talk about it. I'm no expert at all. I try to say that in every video, but I like to share what I have learned and start the conversation. There's so many different viewpoints. I just like to share what I have to say, and then you guys are great in the comments, so make sure you read those after you watch this, because the conversation is always really, really awesome. So thank you guys who contribute to that. So today we're going to be talking about a growing, or at least continuing, problem with childcare that I think every childcare provider can relate to. And that problem is not being seen as a professional. I think we can all identify with people thinking we are just babysitters, that we just sit around eating bonbons, that we're not real business owners, that we're just stay-at-home moms. And I hate saying that anyway, because stay-at-home moms work hard too, but it is a profession, it is a business, and I think it's really important that we work to be seen as professionals. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. So why is it even a problem to not be seen as professionals? Well, there are many reasons why this is a problem. First of all, as business owners, if somebody doesn't see you as a professional, they're not going to treat you as one. So they may not follow your policies, they may not want to pay you, they may not see why they have to pick up their child on time. If you're just a mom at home, like, why would they need to pick up their child on time? Not like you're doing anything. And it just creates this ripple effect of, you know, people taking advantage of you, not following your rules, and it can really affect your love of your job and can lead to burnout as well. People may look down on you if they don't see you as a professional. They may not think you have a real job, which is really disheartening, and it can make you feel unvalued, unappreciated, and just really make you not like your job if people aren't valuing the really hard work you're doing. And lastly, it's just really bad for our profession as a whole. If many people are not viewing us as professionals, we're less likely to have government policies that support us, and we're more likely to be overtaken by centers and things that people do see as professional childcare. And it's just bad overall for us as a profession if we're not viewed as professionals. So on the flip side of that, what would be the benefit to us being seen as professionals on an individual level, on a national level, global level, professional, all-encompassing level? First of all, if you're seen as a professional, you can probably charge more. If people aren't seeing you as a professional, why would they want to pay you a higher rate? But if you are seen as a professional, you would require more money. And it kind of goes, I know when I was a photographer, people pay more when they feel like the value is more. So if you charge more, that's also another way to be seen as a professional, because, you know, if you're at the store and you see something that's $20 next to something that looks the same that's $5, you're gonna assume that the $20 one is better, even if it's the exact same thing. So price, you can charge more if you are seen as more of a professional. You'll be more respected, you'll have more job satisfaction, so you're less likely to burn out and you'll like your job more. If you're seen as a professional, you'll attract high quality, like-minded clients, not people just looking for the cheapest care. You'll be having people who are looking for a respectable, professional environment and are likely to pay more, treat you well, abide by your policies, and do whatever they can to have a good relationship with you because they value what you're providing them. If you're seen as a professional, you can become a resource to your community. People can look to you for advice. You may be interviewed on the news, which is great. It can really give back and be kind of like a spokesperson for our profession if you're seen as a professional. They're not gonna interview somebody that they don't think is high quality for a news story about high quality care. And people aren't going to ask you for advice if they don't think you're doing a good job. But if you're seen as a professional, people will use you as a resource, which can never be a bad thing. If you're viewed more professionally than others, there will be a higher demand for your services and not enough supply to reach that. As a child provider, I can only have up to 12 kids with my license class, but I have way more people emailing me, calling me on a daily basis wanting spots, and I just don't have them. It's a good spot for me to be in, to always have more demand than I have supply. Also, one awesome thing about being seen as a professional is you get lots of word of mouth referrals even when people don't even know you. I know I have experienced this firsthand. Even before I even was open very long, I had local school teachers and churches and things like that referring me, and I didn't even know who these people were, but because I really projected myself as a professional, they were already referring people to me, which was really, really awesome and appreciated. You will feel confident and you will just feel better talking about your job if you feel like what you do matters and if you're seen as a professional. It kind of goes both ways. If you speak about yourself as a professional, you're more likely to be seen that way. And when you're seen that way, you feel more confident talking about it, saying, I am a child care provider, this is what I do, and people will more likely be like, oh, that's really cool, instead of like, oh, you just sit at home with kids all day. You know, it's just the way you talk about it and the way people perceive you. And like I said before, if we're not seen as professionals, it's bad for us on like a national political level. And on the flip side, it's also good for us if we're seen as professionals because we're more likely to have grant money thrown our way. We're more likely to have programs to help childcare providers and to have government regulations to help support us instead of ones that try to cut us down. So if we as a whole are working to be seen as professionals, it can really benefit us as a whole as well, on a national, global level. So now that you know why it's important and what it can do for us, how can you actually be seen as a professional? I know there are some of you out there, and I think a lot of it really does have to do with the area you're in, but I think there are so many things you can do to make yourself stand out to be seen as a professional. And this is something I know from experience I did from before I even started my business. I love this part of it, like the marketing, branding, if you will. So this is something I really worked hard on to stand out from the crowd, and it really did help from the beginning. So there are lots of things you guys can do. First of all, what is the name of your daycare? Now there's all kinds of cutesy names, so many things you can pick, but try to pick something that also sounds professional. It is okay to go the cute route, but if you can have something that's like at least spelled correctly or not like super cutesy that people would be like, really? And if you want to go a more professional name, that's okay too. Just it even looks good just to have a name other than your own name. Or you know, like Sarah's Daycare isn't as fun as, like, I've seen like Little Sprouts and stuff like that, or something to do with where you live. Like if you live on a blueberry patch, like Blueberry Hill Daycare or something like that might sound really cute, but also professional at the same time. Piggybacking off of that, if you have a logo, I think that really sets you apart from the crowd, because a lot of us don't want to spend a lot of money. We are working out of our home. We are professional, but we don't always want to go that extra step. But that's something I did right from the start. I went on Etsy. I found a cheap, already made logo and just sent them my daycare name for them to put that in. And I have that on my policy handbook, my business cards, my website, my newsletters, and it's just something, you know, just like McDonald's. When people see that, they have an immediate reaction to it. So when people see my logo, they immediately have an emotional reaction, and then when they see that symbol out and about, they remember who I am, and they remember my business, not just my face. It's my actual logo. So I would highly recommend you guys spend like the $30 or whatever it costs on Etsy just to get a really generic logo, but that looks good. There's so many choices these days. On top of that, it always looks professional to have business cards. I just get mine on Vistaprint, really cheap. I made them 3 years ago now, and I still have tons of them. On the front, I just put like my name, my address, and a little like slogan of my daycare, which is also a nice thing to have. And then on the back, I put some of the features and benefits of my daycare so that people would remember, and I slip those in whenever I have an interview. I give like a little packet, and there's always business cards in there, as well as refrigerator magnets as well, because if parents put those on their fridge, you know, if they have family over, they can ask about it, and it just looks really professional. Because if you think of the things that people in professional businesses, banks and real estate agents and people like that, you know, financial advisors, what do they offer? Business cards. They have a logo. They might have a pen, you know, stuff like that. Think of things like that that you could do to set yourself out from the crowd. On top of all of that, to be seen as professional, you have to have policies. Any real business has contracts, policies, handbooks, that kind of thing. So if you don't have any at all, nobody's going to treat you as a professional business, because by definition, I think a professional has documentation and things like that. So you want to make sure you have a handbook of some sort. It doesn't have to be fancy, and I have a whole video on policies that you can look at in the description. But make sure you have some kind of policies, contract that parents sign, legally binding, that kind of thing. Also, in today's day and age, social media can be such an awesome tool to use. Make sure you have a Facebook page that parents can see. Maybe set up an Instagram account. Have like a private Facebook page for your families, for parents to check in and stuff like that, so that people can actually see you're operating and you're not just like this name that they don't know. They can actually check out pictures and stuff and get descriptions of what you do on a daily basis online, because a lot of parents like to check things out online ahead of time. And then going along with that, having a website. I think a website is such an awesome thing to have. I would like to do a video on how to set one up, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure you like this video and let me know in the comments. But I have a website through Wix.com. And it was really super simple to set up. It looks super professional, and I just include some basic information about my program, my pictures on there, so parents can put a face to the name. My logo is on there, and it just answers a lot of the questions. But parents see that and they're like, wow, she's really professional. She has this website that looks really nice, and Joe Schmo down the road doesn't have that. I don't know anything about their program. I just know that they're a daycare provider. So I'd rather interview with her because I can see all the stuff she's doing. So just investing some time up front and a little bit of money can really go a long way. And then if you want to be seen as a professional, maybe look into offering more, or at least telling people about what you offer. So I know a lot of people in my area offer Zumba and music classes. Maybe there's somebody that can do like crafts that can come in, or art classes, Spanish classes, sign language classes. Reach out to people in your community. Maybe you have dentists come in, or community helpers come in and talk to your kids. Maybe you have community programs where you have like food fundraisers or food drives, or you have a yearly potluck or something like that. Or you have one of those like lending libraries out in your yard. Whatever it is, make sure you're talking about that and setting yourself up, because the more you do outside of what other people do, the more you're seen as a professional. And then also make sure you're communicating with your parents in some kind of more professional way, be it a newsletter, like an app or something, calendars. I have a video on how to make calendars to give to your parents. And that way during interviews and stuff, parents can actually see those and they're like, wow, she really communicates well. The more you do, the more you give, the more paperwork and stuff that you hand out that looks nice, the more you're seen as a professional. And plus, parents just like to be kept in the loop of what their kids are doing, so it's a win-win. This should go without saying, but make sure anytime you're writing anything, it has good grammar, correct punctuation, that kind of thing. You wanna, if you're teaching kids about reading and writing, people want to know that you actually know how to read and write. And then make sure when people come to view your house, most of the time it is clean overall, you know, within reason. There's kids there a lot, so it's not always perfectly picked up, but make sure it's adequately clean, you're nicely dressed, you know, stuff like that. You don't look like you just rolled out of bed when you're coming to an interview. And then make sure you have a strong interview where you're leading it, you act professionally, you ask questions, you act prepared. I have a whole video on interviews as well, so you guys can check that out for more tips on that. And then just make sure you refer to yourself as a professional. Use words like my program, enrollment, tuition, policies, contract, childcare provider, business, etc. If you walk the walk and talk the talk, people will believe you are a professional. You can't be seen as a professional unless you act like a professional. I think that kind of goes without saying, but just keep that in mind. Be confident. People will treat you the way you demand them to treat you. So treat yourself and refer to yourself in that way, and people will do the same. So those are my tips for how to be seen as a professional in the childcare industry. I really hope you guys think about this and think of ways that you can work on this. It's something I'm constantly working on. So my question for you guys is, what is a time that you were treated unprofessionally, and what did you do or could you do as a result? What things could you change? What problems did that bring up, and what can you do about it now, or what did you do? I'd love to hear that in the comments and keep this conversation going. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.